So you found the skeleton. How would you tell it's a dinosaur? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
All right, we are live. Welcome everybody to Kent with Bent 18, the good, the bad, the Hovind. We got Bent here drinking some kombucha. I'm drinking amazingly cheap rum. I think I bought this handle for $12.
Ooh.
Yeah, but hey,
a handle?
A handle. But
Yikes.
yeah, I noticed about that, Robert. That's it. We're competing with FTFE, streaming about Nathan Thompson and his arrest. So
We
I
got
get
things
it.
to say about that too.
I get it, but this was already scheduled before Nathan Thompson went and became a dumbass. So what are you gonna do? All right, but first, as you might notice, what we have up here. Actually, no. First, I'm gonna say, hey, to my American viewers, it's Super Tuesday. And I just want to give one quick special Dapper Dino message about Super Tuesday. This is directed at you personally, and you know who you are. That person you voted for? Yeah, I hate that person. You should feel bad about yourself for voting for that person.
Wow.
And the person you're going to vote for in the election, in the general election, I hate that person too. So...
We were dinosaurs running for office. Like real ones, not these old guys.
Yeah, so there you go. That's my Super Tuesday statement, because this is Super Tuesday 2020, in case anyone is watching this in the far future. Anyway, so before we actually get into the Kent Hovind, I have this webpage up because this is the World Anvil page, which is linked in the description, for a speculative evolution project that I have just launched with some cooperation from people you might know. We got Kent Hovind has submitted some stuff. Duke Ellington, who is one of my mods who may or may not be in here, he has submitted some stuff. We've got Erica from Gutsick Gibbon, who has submitted some stuff to this. And I am still taking submissions. So what you can do is, if you have an idea, you can tweet it at me, or you can email it to me, or any of the ways that you would normally get a hold of me, and we'll go with that. Currently, the planet we're focusing on, I don't have a picture of it yet, but we have all sorts of nice little information. We got semi-major axis, orbital eccentricity, all sorts of great stuff. Although it's similar enough to Earth that if an animal could be, or a creature could be viable on Earth, very nice mug, it'll probably be viable here. And then, let's see, we got the moon. I have a nice little picture with the moon. We've got the star. Oh, wait, no. There we go. Here's the star. So there's that. We've already got a few animals in here and some plant. Well, none of them are animals or plants technically, but you know what I mean.
You know what we mean.
So we got our newest addition is Bobbird, which creature designed by Kent Hovind. Actually, one quick thing. I had to adjust my temperature control in here because I think it might be set to the wrong thing.
Bobbird is a non-animal because they're not really animals. But they have 2 legs in the front, 2 in the back, and they kind of scoop up microbes and rhizoids and then expel them. And they don't have lungs. Their tail, which is kind of blurry here, but their tail acts as a gas exchange.
Yep.
It's pretty cool.
Let's see. We've got Bossio, designed also by Kent Hovind, which are these purple mushroom-looking things. These are photosynthetic macroscopic organisms that grow in shallow water. We've got, let's see, Cecilia, which is a creature designed by Duke Ellington. They are called, they're a member of a group called phytozoans, and they are creatures with neurons and muscle tissue, but they also have chloroplasts, and they do not have any bones or a circulatory system or even a real digestive system. So what I just linked was, it's not the scientific article, but it's a page, an article I had read online about how early Earth may have been purple due to retinol instead of chloroplasts. That helps.
So that's what Bossio was based off of, was a retinol-based photosynthetic thing. So there's some kind of amateur science involved in this. Like, we're trying to be consistent with the way evolution works, and I'm learning a lot from Dapper Dino because I don't really know anything very much about it. But it's for fun. And I think you were going to ask if anyone had any ideas for submissions.
So submissions, I will go a little bit more into detail after we cover the quick things here. We got a feather barrel, which is a sedentary filter feeder. And you can also see it's near a little Bossio stand here, which is pretty cool. There's 2 of them in there. And then we've got Xenoeule Kirby, which is a little segmented critter. We also have one more art thing that has actually been completed. I'm going to see if I can't open it. Let's see. Oh, Godzilla, drink.
Oh.
All right, so we have this right here is a phytopod, and it is a more advanced version of Cecilia that has evolved for a little bit. So now it has walking legs, and it has little feeder tendrils, and a photosynthetic hood divided into little sections, and it also has a very, very basic eye cup. And yeah, Cecilia is mostly water. We actually made it so it's 2.5 centimeters in length. We did some volume calculations, and that seemed like things are up for revision at this point right now, so I'm not sure if that's a final mass for it. But yeah, so that is as far as I've gotten on creature designs. This was designed by Erica Gutsit Gibbon. She has designed another creature, but I have not finalized the image for that. And by finalized, I mean I haven't begun the image for that. So we're going to have to hold off on that, because I don't know that I have permission to show her original work. But yeah, so if you have ideas, we're currently accepting things basically pretty much whatever you come up with, as long as it's not a carbon copy of an animal on Earth, or a plant on Earth, or anything else on Earth. You can submit that. I'm open to having about 10 more such creatures submitted, and then I'm going to call that, and we're going to move on to the next period in the planet's history. So currently we're at about 480-ish million years ago, and we're going to move all the way up to the present, and then we're going to move on to the second planet that is in this project, which is actually going to be a speculative evolution based on Earth life project. And so there's going to be some lore reasons behind that. So that'll be cool. But yeah, for now, if you have any ideas, you can email them to me. It's thedapper.dinosaur.yt@gmail.com, I think. But double check on my page. If you look at the About section, you got the little email. It's only for business inquiries. This is okay to send me email about. So there's that. But yeah, so let me know if you have ideas. If I get too many submissions, I will weed them down to the ones that I think are the best. And if there's something that I think is sufficiently unrealistic, I'm going to maintain veto power on it. So submitting an idea is not a guarantee, but at this point, it's very open. Once we move up about 10 million years, then everything that we have submitted is going to have to be based on an animal or plant or whatever from the previous period. You're going to have to evolve things and also tell me where they live and things like that, and give reasons as to why this is a reasonable evolution. But for now, it's pretty wide open, because we're just trying to get at the very first organisms on the planet that are of any sufficient complexity to be noticeable. All right, and with that out of the way, it is time for some actual Kent Hovind. So there you go. Oh, and Maya, thank you for dropping by. I understand your daughter's birthday is definitely more important than Kent with Bent. So no worries there. That is, yeah, go. Never watch Dapper Dino in preference to family stuff. Unless your family is legitimately awful, in which case I don't care. Here we go.
Then they tell the kids, we have evidence from development. Now this one makes me angry. So I'm going to try to stay calm while we talk about this. Is probably one of the most dangerous lies in the textbooks. We'll just calm down now. This textbook says the similarity between the early stages of development of many different animals helped convince Darwin that all forms of life shared common ancestors. Darwin considered this the strongest class of facts in favor of his theory. This was the best evidence Darwin knew of for his theory. The guy who made up this dumb idea is named Ernst Haeckel. Haeckel called this idea we're about to share with you the biogenetic law.
Hey, Kent got something right. Drink. And in case you've forgotten, we drink for Godzilla, which, Ben, if you could demonstrate, and this is not a drink occasion, but Ben, if you could demonstrate it. Whenever that sound occurs, we drink. We drink when Kent gets things right, which is almost never. And we drink whenever I say that it's been way too much stupid. So, and that is a nice Copper Magma mug. Check out coppermagma.com for free metal music.
For free heavy metal!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means as animals develop inside the mother, they go through the stages of evolution. All you got to do is memorize the word farm, F-A-R-M, fish, amphibian, reptile, mammal. That's the way they say it happened.
I mean, it's not, but it's such a minor point. I don't really care that much.
The phrase they had for it back then was ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny.
Wait, he can say recapitulate, but he can't say things like water. I guess he's saying it correctly, but he can't say things like Casimir or Neanderthal.
See, the difference is he's spent, well, I don't know about Neanderthal, but the difference between Casimir and this is he'd never heard of the Casimir effect in that King Crocoduck debate, which, by the way, if you haven't seen the King Crocoduck versus Kent Hovind debates, there's 3 of them, you should definitely see them, because, oh my goodness, were they embarrassing for Kent Hovind. But the thing is, he's probably been repeating this ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny thing in front of a mirror for like a decade before he gave this speech.
What's all that mean? Well, ontogeny is the growth of the baby. It goes through stages, okay? Recapitulates means it reenacts or does over again. Phylogeny is the evolutionary sequence. This Irish textbook says, the presence of fish-like structures in embryos of different species shows these animals have evolved from fish and share the basic pattern of fish development. It's as if the embryo retains a memory of its origins and starts to copy them during its development.
All right, I'm going to be honest. That's not how I would have put this, but I get why they did it, and I don't know what age this is for. It just says Irish textbook, which I don't know if you know, but that's not the actual name of any textbook.
Are you sure it isn't?
It
says right there.
I'm extremely confident that Irish textbook, page 260, is an insufficient citation. But then again, I don't know. I'd be glad to be proven wrong. So if any of you can find something that says Irish textbook as the actual title of a biology textbook that has this on page 260, I will give you everything I earned from this video for tonight. I will PayPal it to you. So that might be 0, but it might also not be 0. So you never know. Good luck.
That's the ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. Now, the idea that sick mind Freud relied on was the idea that ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. That is, the development of the individual recapitulates the evolution of the entire species. This is stupid and dangerous. They tell the kids the embryo, the baby growing in the mother, has gills like a fish.
No, they... Oh, that was stupid. I just drank, because that was really stupid. Look. Though it doesn't even say that. What is this? And gill pouches. It even said... Oh my god, that's even more stupid. Okay, gill pouches and gills aren't the same thing. No one is telling your kids that human embryos have gills, because they don't. What they have are what's more technically called pharyngeal arches, and they are essentially identical to the pharyngeal arches in fish. And the pharyngeal arches share this close path of development between different organisms that falls very neatly into the nested hierarchies created by both genetics and morphology. So, oh, and that reminds me, at the end of this, we have to, remind me, Bent, we have to go over updates on the debate that Erica and I are trying to set up with Kent Hovind. So remind me to do that before we go off air.
Okay.
So that's a thing that we're going to have to give updates on. Because there have been updates. And the updates are probably not going to look super great for Kent either way.
Gills? That's a lie. Those are not gill slits. Those little folds of skin you see on the embryo grow into bones in the ear and glands in the throat.
Drink.
They never have anything to do with breathing. My uncle had 5 or 6
your attempt
chins,
to
and he
remind
couldn't
me?
breathe through any of them but the top one.
Yes.
Okay?
You're going to have to redo
Those
it
are not
later.
gill slits.
Okay.
Ernst Haeckel said the turning point in his thinking was when he read Darwin's book in 1860. See, Darwin's book was printed in English in 1859. The next year, it was printed in German, 1860. Haeckel was a German embryology professor. He read the book and said, wow, what a great theory. If only we had some evidence. Well, 9 years later, they still had no evidence. So Haeckel decided to help out. He was going to make some evidence. Haeckel took a drawing of a dog and a human embryo. He was an embryology professor, you know. And he lied. He faked the drawings. He changed them and made them look exactly alike.
Okay, no, he didn't fake, at least I've never heard any suggestion or evidence that he faked the dog versus the human embryo at 4 weeks. However, he did admit that in his most famous drawing, I believe it was the chicken embryo, one of the pictures of the chicken embryo, the earliest one, he drew without reference. He did admit to that. So...
to prove they're related. He just is a bald-faced lie, okay? Haeckel made giant posters of his fake drawings and traveled all over Germany and converted the people to believing in evolution, which led to the next obvious question. Hey, if evolution is true, I wonder which race of humans have evolved the farthest.
What? No, because if evolution is true, then literally everything has evolved just as far as anything else. Bent. How far back does life go, roughly?
To the beginning of life?
Well, yeah, it's about 3 to 3.5 billion years ago.
It doesn't matter what race you are. It goes back to the beginning of life.
Right, that's when you started evolving, or your species started evolving, was at the beginning of life. Everything has been evolving for that long.
It's not like Europeans started evolving before Asians or whatever, like...
Yeah,
come on, Kent.
It doesn't make any sense.
I'm drinking to that, Kent,
okay, yeah,
because that was stupid, because Kent shows once again he doesn't understand evolution.
Big surprise.
And I barely understand it, but just watching these Kent Hovind videos, I've learned a lot more than Kent has by being a part of his own debates and his own discussions and his own research.
Yeah. In fact, if you just research everything Kent Hovind says to find out why it's wrong, you can actually learn a lot about science.
I mean, you can go to Yahoo Answers and find enough information to be smarter than Kent, which is just proof that he's got no excuse.
No, his excuse is that if he were to tell the truth, he would lose out on that free property that he has for his retirement.
Okay, yeah.
And guess who the
No excuse with any integrity in it.
Okay, there you go.
Germans thought it was. Yeah, we'll talk more about that later. Now, on top are Haeckel's fake drawings. Underneath are the actual photographs of these animals.
Okay, so this is actually a picture that was presented in a paper about Haeckel saying that he was wrong, and I'm actually going to move you a little bit, Ben, so we can see the human embryo. But here's one of the things. The pictures shown here are, one, in a few cases, especially the chicken and the human embryo, are from slightly different angles. In the case of the chicken embryo, an entirely different angle. Plus, Haeckel explicitly pointed out that he excluded yolk and other maternal material in his drawings. So one of the things you can see in the human is an umbilical cord and part of a placenta. He was extremely explicit that he was removing those from his drawings for the sake of clarity. So, while these do not look overly much like the top row, the degree to which they differ from the top row has been exaggerated. And in fact, the author of the paper, where this picture comes from, he later retracted it, saying that he was in fact being unfairly harsh to Haeckel, and that Haeckel probably did not commit fraud, at least knowingly, with the exception of drawing what I believe is the chicken embryo without reference. So, keep going, Kent.
He lied. His own university held a trial and convicted him of fraud.
Nope, they held a trial, but there is no record of him ever being convicted of fraud.
Wait, they had a trial?
Yeah.
Like a legal trial?
I mean, it was something they called a trial. I don't know how German universities worked in the 19th century. Like,
But if that hold up in a court of law, that's the real question.
I mean, I don't think he would have gone to jail for it, but he probably would have lost whatever kind of tenure type arrangement he had. So, I mean, like I said, I don't know how the university system worked in the late 19th century in Germany. Because while I do have a degree in history, it doesn't cover late 19th century German universities.
I just got to say real quick, I haven't seen any chat in a while, and I realized I had top chat on instead of live chat. So I've missed the last 13 minutes of chat. So I'm going to read through that quickly, and yo to Bob Knob.
Welcome everybody, including Bob Knob. And yeah, so there hadn't been much top chat, so...
No.
Said at the trial, I should feel utterly condemned were it not that hundreds of the best observers and biologists lie under the same charge. This biogenetic law is as dead as a doornail. It's not true.
Hey, Kent got something right. I'm going to drink to that. In fact, the biogenetic law is not true. Because the biogenetic law states essentially that organisms pass through the adult stages of their ancestors as they develop embryologically. What is in fact actually true is that organisms diverge embryologically in terms of development at states that roughly correlate to when they diverged genetically. So, Burnbird. So Top Chat, I believe, is basically super chats. I think it's just a the Burnbird says, am I not a top-worthy person? Everyone is a top-worthy person, but YouTube thinks that you have to pay for that. So, Kent licks dog butts. I have not seen, Bob says, I have not seen strong evidence for this, so I am not going to comment either way.
It can't be taken out of the textbooks for some reason. It's been proven wrong since 1875.
It has been taken out of the textbooks. No one uses it anymore.
And they still keep it in the books. It's still used in this book, Evolutionary Analysis, college textbook.
Oh, great. You're just waving around a book in front of your low-resolution camera. That's helpful.
1998 edition, used at University of West Florida, the exact same chart of Ernst Haeckel.
But do they have the biogenetic law, Kent? Because that was what you started with, not that they used the pictures, because the pictures are actually fairly accurate.
That's only been proven wrong since 1875.
Well, the biogenetic law has been proved wrong, I don't know when, but those drawings remain reasonably accurate.
Okay. I know it takes a while to get textbooks up to date, but that's long enough. I think 130 years, they ought to be able to get it out by now, don't you think?
Yeah, Bob Knob says, I have just as much evidence as Kent. That's a good point.
Okay. More about the gill slits in this book here, Icons of Evolution.
I own that book.
Did you buy it from iconsofevolution.com?
I think I bought it from Amazon. Uh-oh.
I got a doorbell, so I gotta go back.
S. Bendit, this is Kent's seminar number 4. So, yeah. That's what this one is. We're going to continue without Ben for a little bit. I don't know what's going on there.
Darwin's theory, his book came out 1859. He predicted they would find evidence. 1869, Haeckel faked the drawings.
You know, he's like, oh, 1859, they predicted, and then they didn't get any evidence until 1869, except that, 2 years later, they found Archaeopteryx, which had been predicted based on evolution pretty much right after the publishing of The Origin of the Species. So, yeah.
1875, it was proven wrong.
No. I mean, yeah, the biogenetic law was proven wrong, but Haeckel was not convicted of fraud, so...
But it's still in textbooks, used all over.
And the gill slits idea was never proven wrong, because it was never actually taught, but pharyngeal arches are a real thing. And even this, which calls them gill pouches, which I don't know if you can read that, it's pretty blurry, but whatever. It says gill pouch, not gill slit. Those are entirely different things. They're called gill pouches in this because in fish they develop into gills.
The planet. 2004 textbook, still has it. 2000.
I have that book literally on my shelf, and it's not a textbook. But it is a pretty good book, even if it is seriously out of date now, being like 30 years old.
5 textbook, and I pronounced it wrong, it's Chickasha, not Chickashaw, Chickasha, Oklahoma. I got corrected during the break. Still teaching the baby has gill pouches. Notice, for example...
Yeah, you're right, gill pouches. It does have gill pouches. You're right. I'm going to drink for Kent Hovind being right. There we go.
Gill pouches, okay? Gill slits on the embryo. They're teaching this in textbooks all over the world. It's only been proven wrong since 1875.
No.
Get it out of the book. Tear the...
Normally I would complain about 2004 being a long time ago. Why don't you have more recent things in your speech? But I actually think this speech was probably given in like 2005 or 6 or something.
The page out. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Tear out the page. It's not true. There's a junior high textbook telling them it has embryo has gill slits. This one says, similarly, humans and fish embryos resemble each other because humans and fish share a common ancestor. These similarities provide evidence that these 3 animals evolved from a common ancestor, tiny gill slits. Gill slits on the human embryo. Gills of fish. Tiny gill pouches, used in college textbooks.
I can't even read it.
There's a 2004 textbook saying it has evidence of evolution is seen
Welcome back.
in development of embryos. You can't get a high score on SAT or ACT tests unless you lie and say the baby has gill pouches. It's found on every single test we could find. If you don't believe in evolution, you won't score high to get into college.
That's not true. That's a lie.
Yeah, that's a lie.
Because guess who didn't believe in evolution when he applied for college? Me.
Did you get into college?
Yep.
Is that why you're now a doctor?
And guess who didn't believe in evolution when he started his biology courses?
Wait, who didn't believe in
Still
evolution?
got A's.
Who didn't believe in evolution when he finished his biology courses?
I'd say not really. I didn't believe in macroevolution when I finished my biology courses. I took my second semester of freshman biology was the most we did in evolution, and I didn't really buy it. I could kind of see it, but I didn't really buy it. But I totally bought the microevolution. I mean, we proved it in our labs, like getting the E. coli to adapt and pick up the gene, the bioluminescence gene from jellyfish. So, like, I totally understood that and accepted it. And things like sexual selection, natural selection, they started to make sense to me.
Okay, so you were...
I think by the time even when I graduated college, I don't know if I believed in evolution yet.
But you were on the way there, it seems.
I was for sure on the way, but like,
okay.
I had a 3.89 GPA. Did 20 plus credit hours in biology courses.
It is from the Tesla Ranger. It is from the Creation Seminar series. I don't remember how many episodes there are, but this is the 4th one.
Or at least give the evolution answer. Why would they keep this in the textbooks?
Because it's true.
130 years after it is proven wrong.
Because it wasn't.
There's only one answer I can come up with.
Focusing on this thing a lot.
I'll tell you in a minute.
Yeah.
This one shows a 5 to 6 week embryo, and it says by 7 months the fetus looks from the outside like a tiny normal baby, but it's not.
Okay, I'm going to let him finish the sentence.
It's not a baby at 7 months.
No, it's not a normal baby. But it's not, period. The lungs and temperature regulation systems are not functional. More importantly, the central nervous system is covered by your little citation here, but I'm going to also go ahead and say it probably says something like rudimentary or not completely functional. Because they're not saying it's not a baby. They're saying it's not a normal baby. Because if you were to give birth to this thing, no one would be like, oh, hey, that looks just like every baby I've ever seen. Because it wouldn't. And it wouldn't function like any baby you've ever seen.
There have been 5-month fetuses born that have survived, but not without intense medical care.
Right. Plus, this is like just over 2 months.
Organs continue to develop. Well, it says by 7 months, though.
Oh, 7 months? Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking weeks on the 7.
Oh, hello? That's a lie. It's a human at conception.
Well, they didn't say it's not a
34% of babies born at 5.5 months will survive.
That's a straw man.
A testament to the advances in science. Right there, that Kent just had. 34% of babies born at 5.5 months. Yeah. That's a really impressive advance of science. Something that you're trying to hinder, Kent.
One lady had surgery on her baby before it was born. Cut the mother open, cut the uterus open, and the baby's holding the doctor's finger at 5 months along.
Okay, so the nervous system had developed to the point that reflexes were in action. I don't know how that's supposed to counter anything in evolution. Like, there has to be a point where the nervous system is developed enough that reflexes kick in. Because I don't know if you know this, but babies will grasp literally anything you put in their hands because it's a reflex.
It's adorable to see, and but
yeah,
does that mean it doesn't have gills, or what is he? It doesn't. But what is Kent trying to argue here?
I think he's trying to argue that indicates its humanity because it's trying to reach out and make a connection with the doctor. But what's actually happening is that its nervous system has developed to the point where reflective actions can take place. And here's the thing. Babies grasp onto things, and you know what's interesting? All other baby apes do the same thing, and they use that reflex to help hold on to their mother's hair when they ride on her back, because that's how most other apes tend to carry their babies. It's actually a largely vestigial trait in humans, because human babies don't need to hold on to things in order to survive, but they do it anyway.
It's still adorable.
Oh, look, no argument there. But the thing is that it's more evidence of the ape ancestry of humans.
You just think that means we're related.
I do.
Water.
Let's see. The angel of the Lord said, "Behold, thou art with fetus."
God.
No, I believe he said you're with child, didn't he?
Okay.
It's a child before it's born.
That's stupid enough that I'm drinking to it.
Oh, Kent.
Goodness.
Scott Peterson is accused of murdering his wife and
Oh, I remember that story.
unborn
from
child.
a
Now,
long time
Paul
ago.
Azan, you hypocrite.
Paul Azan, I
Don't you
remember
think it's
her.
okay to have an abortion, and yet you call it an unborn child? Scott Peterson is found guilty of murdering his wife and son. That's because in California you have to have a double homicide to get the death penalty. So they want it to be a son or a child, but the rest of the time, if you want to have an abortion, it's okay. Now it's not a child, it's just a fetus.
All right, so here's where Kent goes into some abortion stuff, and I'm not going to let him. Because I don't discuss abortion in terms of whether it should be legal or whether it's a good idea or when the cutoff should, none of those things. So here's what I'm going to say about abortion. Your opinion on abortion is almost certainly based on bad reasoning. And I don't care what opinion you hold, because almost all of the arguments on both sides are bad as far as I can tell. That doesn't mean there aren't good arguments, but most people don't ever use them.
We've talked about this for years. He's always said that.
Yeah. Almost all of the arguments I've ever heard, either pro-choice or pro-life, have been terrible arguments.
And by the way, Scott Peterson is still in prison, so he's, I don't know if he got the death penalty, but it hasn't been enacted if it's going to.
Well, there you go. So what we're going to do is we're going to skip ahead a little bit until Kent Hovind stops talking about abortion, because I'm not going to let him use an appeal to emotion and his audience's strong bias against abortion to be an argument here, because it's not a discussion I want to have.
If you like abortion, you believe in gills or something like that. I don't know what.
That's.
I'm trying to make his connection here, and it's not possible.
All right.
Doctors that were doing abortions shot of all. She said a woman ought to have a right. Hey, why don't we extend abortion 28 days after it's born? That's what I tell them. See, the media will ignore the wishes of the majority, and they're going to push their liberal agenda. We'll cover more. They were strong believers in evolution. They did
All right, he got out of it.
Those kids were real strong believers in evolution. They made a video. Should we have public schools?
Never mind.
Okay.
Or maybe should we teach them evolution? That's what did the Columbine shooting. Those kids were real strong believers in evolution. They made a
it's
videotape
because of
before the shooting.
Darwin. They read the Darwin book, Origin of the Species, yada, 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 and then we should go kill people.
I read The Origin of Species in high school, and then I immediately killed... no one. Oh, that's right.
Okay, good. I was worried for a second there.
I immediately killed 0 people.
One of the boys said,
wait, that's
he doesn't
0.
deserve the jaw evolution gave him. Look for his jaw, it won't be on his body.
All right, so are we going to talk about when people who are Christians and then kill people, and then they, use Christian type language to discuss things?
Did you know that before Darwin wrote about evolution,
people
no one had ever killed anyone before?
No one ever? Oh, that's interesting. Huh.
They were strong believers in evolution. They did the shooting on Hitler's birthday on purpose.
You mean the Hitler who was explicitly against evolution? Okay.
They shot Isaiah Shoals just because he was black.
Oh, so they were racists. I don't know how that makes evolution wrong.
Eric's t-shirt said natural selection. And then Rosie O'Donnell said, see, we need more gun control.
Hey,
Rosie, Rosie, Rosie.
What was that?
nothing. I was trying to read their T-shirts, but then I realized that's probably not the shirts they were wearing that day.
Yeah, probably not. I think they posed for those pictures well before then.
Blaming guns for Columbine is like blaming spoons for Rosie O'Donnell being...
Oh, yeah, and then T.D. Lane points out, how about them witch burnings, Kent? And it's true. Like, if you want to go tit for tat, whether various belief systems have caused killings, like, there aren't too many belief systems that come out clean. Because, as it turns out, humans sometimes are just absolute shits. And they kill each other, and then they excuse it based on whatever stupid crap, or even smart crap, that they happen to believe. Whether or not that's a good idea. I don't even know why you try.
Fat. It's not the spoon's fault. It's not the gun's fault, okay?
I thought that's pretty
Maybe
funny.
certain criminals ought to be publicly executed. Maybe that's time to think that one through one more time. Maybe all law-abiding citizens should be required to carry guns to protect themselves.
Or what, they get shot, Kent, in their public execution? Have a gun or get shot? I mean, like, what is your proposed mechanism here?
Yeah, would they get a ticket?
Suppose every teacher in the public school
Video froze?
Not for me, it didn't.
All right.
was required to be armed. Just suppose. How far down the hallway would those kids have gotten? Somebody sent me this button.
Should we hit 1 in this chat if we should start skipping his school shooting thing? And hit 2 if you want to hear us talk about school shootings, I guess.
What lie in what textbook has to do with school shootings?
Evolution. Evolution. Yeah.
Proudly unarmed. Would you wear this? What does this say to a criminal? Rob me. Isn't that exactly what it says? Of course. The Founding Fathers gave us the Second Amendment so we could keep and bear arms, and it wasn't so we could go duck hunting. The purpose of the Second Amendment was so we could defend ourselves if the government goes bad.
I mean, okay, he's technically right about that.
Last-ditch defense against an evil government is an armed
Everyone's
citizenry.
typing 1, but I don't remember what
ever
1 was for.
1 is skip, and it won't be any shorter because of it. We're going to go about 2 hours either way.
A lot of animals that eat... Oh, brother. You're either dumb or you ought to be able to live on your own by now, son. Now you listen carefully. God loves you. He can forgive you. They're going to say, well, the child may be unwanted. They're going to say, well, the child may be a financial burden. Is it illegal in Tennessee to shoot deer at night with spawner? Yeah, let's put this. That opened the way to allow Hitler to kill the Jews. The practice of Germany conformed to the theory of...
Oh my gosh.
I
Hitler
don't
said,
want to
if
know
you
the
want these
context
criminals,
of that.
I'll send them to you on luxury ships. You know, in 1938, the Jews could have been saved. Ideas lie at the basis of all that is worst in Mein Kampf. Haired, blue-eyed, the inferiors. Nations are of one blood. Yeah, and they were found guilty.
My goodness. How long is he going to do this?
She thought they were human weeds.
Margaret
And it kills the
Sanger.
life of a baby.
Oh yeah, Margaret Sanger was
Sanger.
a bit of a racist. Okay, who cares?
After it has begun. That's a lie. You need
Oh,
your
here we
appendix.
go.
These 6 things doth the Lord hate. Hands that shed innocent blood. God hates this. Cursed be he that taketh reward to slay an innocent person. And all the people shall say, Amen.
There.
Your textbooks are going to tell you, kids, that you have an appendix that is vestigial. You don't need it anymore. That's a lie.
Is it a lie though? Although it's how long did that take us? Like how much of this video did we skip past? Just to get out of
Not enough.
like it's crazy. He went to abortion, then to school shootings, back to abortion, then Godwin's law. Like, oh my goodness, I have to drink. That is
You need your appendix. The appendix is part of your immune system.
You need your appendix? No, you don't. You don't need your appendix because if you have it removed,
Yeah, you die. Everyone
No.
who's had it removed has died.
Well, that's
Or will die.
That's true. That's true. There is a 0% long-term survival rate for appendix removal. But the thing
I'm trying
is,
to know about.
like, yeah, your appendix serves as a lackluster lymph node. But there is no significant, or there's no statistically significant difference in outcomes after healing from surgery for an appendix removal. So yeah, it's vestigial. And it's especially vestigial because it's actually a shrunken form of the vermiform cecum, which is used by other animals to digest cellulose via various bacteria that live in their guts that can do that. But you know what humans are really bad at?
No.
Digesting cellulose in their appendix, because they can't do it at all.
Wait, I knew that.
Here's an article on the web from University of Chicago. Ask a scientist. Nancy writes in and says, what is the function of the appendix in a human before it is taken out through surgery? This lady writes back and says, the appendix has no known function.
No known physiological
She's
function.
way behind the times on that one. She goes on to say,
And yes,
it is believed that
she's
the
behind
appendix will
time.
gradually...
Yeah, yep, someone managed to be behind the times. Although I don't know what date this was, so maybe they weren't.
disappear in human beings as our diet do not includes cellulose no more.
That was poorly written. I'll give Kent that. He's right. Oh, Kent's right in his complaint about bad grammar. Take a drink. Bob Knob, you're not going to tell your appendixless dad that he shouldn't be alive? I mean, Kent Hovind apparently thinks he shouldn't, maybe? Or Evolution does? Oh, wait. $2 from Adam Morgan. Living results in a 100% mortality rate. That is 100% true. Which, by the way, puts us $198 away from the second Tutu video, if you guys want one. That Tutu video is going to be episode 3 of Noah's Zookeeper. Episode 1 is currently scheduled to premiere on Thursday, so check it out. In a couple days. Unless you're watching this in the future, in which case check it out now. Well, after you finish this video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our diet do not include cellulose no more. University of Chicago. Wow. Good place to
Yeah.
get an education.
I'll
Not
be
in English,
honest.
apparently, but-
I'll be honest. Yeah, it's not a great showing for the University of Chicago. We already drank for it, but yeah, Kent is right about that one. That's rather embarrassing.
In the first place, this is not true, okay? The appendix is part of your immune system. You need your appendix. The appendix activates killer B cells like your thyroid activates killer T cells. It's true you can live without your appendix. That's true. You could live without both your legs and both your arms and both your eyes and both your ears also.
Right,
Doesn't
but
prove you don't.
the difference is that the outcomes for living without all those things are significantly worse from a medical and just quality of life standpoint. That's not true for the appendix. So if the appendix were such a vital thing like your hands or your legs, people would notice. They would have significantly worse lives after having their appendix out. But the thing is, they don't. In fact, actually, I don't even know. Is there even any requirement to change your diet after the appendix is out?
I don't think so. But
I don't think so either.
Because I'm not a real doctor.
Well,
I'm a
okay.
fake real doctor. Like Kent's a real fake doctor, but I'm a fake real doctor.
Oh, that's probably better than being a fake real doctor. Or never mind.
Don't need them. If you take your appendix out, you got a much better chance of getting all sorts of diseases.
No.
No, there's no significant difference in outcomes in terms of immune system function.
I mean, I guess it's possible, but there's no reason for me to believe that Kent's right on this.
I have looked into it, and I've never found anything indicating there was a statistically significant increase in infection rates post-healing from appendix removal surgery.
You have to get your appendix removed and then drink a bottle of Roundup, and then you might get lymphoma.
No, if you're a man, Roundup will probably make you live longer based on all the studies in rats.
Well, I should get that. I got a lot of weeds anyway.
But do you have a lot of weed?
Not yet.
No!
Send it to my way, everybody. Send it to my
They
way.
drug test at your job and you know it.
Yeah, before you get hired, they do.
This
And then
textbook says
never
the
again. But they could, I guess.
whale has a vestigial pelvis. Many organisms retain traces of their evolutionary history. For example, the whale retains pelvic and leg bones as useless vestiges. National Center for Science Education teaches, Bossy the cow evolved to blowho the whale.
Wait, who?
What?
The National Center for Science Education apparently teaches this. Except you took this from Creation Science Evangelism because no one is actually that stupid. So, yeah, because cows didn't evolve into whales.
The cow evolved to the whale.
Nope.
And the
Yeah, it's stupid enough. Go for it.
My headache's gonna start coming back.
That's, I mean, we don't want that.
evidence is the pelvis. Whales have a pelvis, vestigial pelvis.
Yeah, that's the only evidence. There's no genetic or morphological evidence. There's no evidence based on the fossil record. Nah. I can't take that right now because my liver would probably shut down.
Pelvis and leg bone that serve no
Better your liver than your brain.
They have hind limb bones that have no
Once my liver shuts down, my brain's going to be shortly after.
Yeah, I suppose.
function. Just imagine whales walking around. It's true. Well, here's the bones they're talking about right there.
Yeah, they're bitty. But here's some interesting things about them. Do you notice how the ribs change right after them? Not the ribs,
Yes.
I'm sorry, the spine, the vertebrae.
Yes.
They change right after them.
Yes.
It's almost like you went from lumbar vertebrae to sacral vertebrae, and then right after these, what Kent doesn't think are hip bones, you went to caudal vertebrae. But where in other mammals do vertebrae go from sacral to caudal?
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
I don't know what a caudal vertebrae is.
It's what's in the tail vertebrae.
It's the sacrum and then the coccyx.
Yeah, but the coccyx is actually human caudal vertebrae.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, caudal vertebrae are tailbones, which change from sacral to caudal at the hips.
At the hips.
And guess
That
what's
I knew.
just posterior to those bones?
Right there. It's on the screen.
Well, no, in the living whale. What's just posterior to those bones?
The hips.
The anus.
The anus.
Yeah. It's just like in every other mammal. So, oh, and you know where those develop? Medial to the medial to the posterior limb buds in the embryo, just like hip bones.
Of course.
And those little femurs that you see sticking down, they develop from the limb buds, just like a femur.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a femur.
Yeah.
Just imagine the whale walking around. I have tried and tried to imagine, and I just can't do it.
Does he think that people think that whales used to walk around? I mean, did they used to walk around?
I mean,
on
the
those things?
ancestors of whales used to walk around, but I don't think anyone thinks that they walked around on something that looks like that. Like, I don't think anyone is imagining some giant creature walking on just a femur and two unconnected hip bones.
But Kent's imagining it.
Yes.
Kent's imagining that people imagine that
Oh, got a drink for Godzilla.
for reasons.
Yeah, he seems to think that that's what evolution is saying, is that whales used to walk around on those little stubby things.
You know what Kent should do, which he can't because it's impossible, is get some of these claims he makes all the time where he's citing really, really, really old textbooks. He should cite evolutionists like speaking into a camera saying these things, but they don't, so he can't.
Right.
Almost every type of whale has these bones right there in the abdomen. They are not attached to the spine. That's correct. Textbook says the whale's pelvis is located far from the vertebra and has no apparent function. The whale's pelvis is evidence of its evolution from four-legged, land-dwelling mammals.
One of those things is true. It does have some function, and yes, it is evidence of their evolution from land-dwelling animals. That's a good mug.
This is a lie. Those little bones are anchor points that special muscles attach to that allow the whales to reproduce.
Kent got something right. Drink for that. In fact, actually, that's a good time for me to get a new thing. So, Bent, why don't you, while I do that,
Oh.
Which thing would you rather tell people about? Bossio or Bobird?
Bossio!
Alright, 1 second, let me pull that up. So, what I'm going to have Bent do is, while we're looking at the Bossio page, I'll just have him read some stuff about Bossio. Because it's pretty cool. I don't know.
Pretty cool.
Apparently my computer doesn't like to move this tab over, but let's zoom in on the picture.
I can't read it if it's not on the screen.
You can just go to the website yourself, man.
I don't remember the website. I can see the URL.
It's literally in the description to the video. If you have the watch link up, you're watching it right now.
Look, here's the thing, right? It's just Bossio. Now, you might be like, oh, it's Bosseo or Bozio or whatever. You pronounce it how you want. I was 12 and I was like, I want to make it a word and I'm going to call it Bossio, B-O-S-E-O. Why? I don't know why. So I brought it back for this. Bossio has 3 major sections: the leaf, the stem, and the rhizoid. The leaf is a circular structure with simple vascularization that transports sugars from the leaf to the rest of the organism, and it is the primary photosynthetic organ. The stem is the structural support helping the leaf reach sunlight in the shallow seas. See, I know I might not be able to tell, but this is supposed to be underwater. Very shallow water, because it needs to reach the sand underneath, or whatever you call it, the ground. I don't know. The rhizoid is responsible for uptake of minerals from the substrate, anchoring the rest of the organism and sending up new stalks. The leaf is also a reproductive structure. Photosynthesis is performed by a combination of retinol on the surface of the cell membrane, which that's what I got from that article I linked way, way before. I don't know if that's... yeah, I can link it again. Early Purple Earth. And I forget the details that I read about, but it doesn't matter. It's pretty cool to learn about things like that I didn't know about. Retinol is used to help drive ATP metabolization, while the other energy derived from photosynthesis goes towards producing sugars. Reproduction is asexual, aren't we all? Wait, just kidding. By stalks being sent up the rhizoid, as well as releasing reproductive cells through the center of the leaf, which are then carried away by currents to hopefully land in shallow water with enough nutrients in the substrate and enough sunlight to support photosynthesis. It takes about 80 hours to reach the maximum size from a new stalk on the rhizoid, assuming optimal growth conditions. New colonies spread by dispersion, usually taking about 120 hours to get their first stalk to full size, and then a few additional stalks start growing 60 hours later and be full size in 160 to 170 hours, because we measure these in hours, right? Bossio is a primary producer. That means it produces itself through sunlight energy, which is pretty cool, because without that, there'd be no primary consumers or secondary consumers and all that stuff. Evolution would not have been able to happen. Bossio is a primary producer and the base of food chain all through the shallow waters of Almasia. I don't know what parts of that mean. Well, the organism has no neurons. It can and does turn its leaf more like a rotation or whatever. I don't know, to face the sun. But it's just gonna point at it a little bit. That's it. That's all I got.
Well, thank you very much for that wonderful explanation about Bossio, which is
You're welcome.
It's an organism you designed.
Yes, I did.
And it will be probably the basis for a large amount of both land and aquatic-based photosynthesis.
It is. I believe we are creating different phylum right now. Phylums?
Phyla.
Phyla, of course. Yeah. I feel like a
Now, of course, what is a phyla? The answer is it's not really a thing.
It's not a kingdom.
But, that's about the level at which we're designing things right now. But anyway, back to Kent.
Whales are kind of big,
Yep.
And without those special muscles and those special bones, they can't get more baby whales.
That's
So
true.
either these guys are ignorant about their whale anatomy, or they're lying to your kids trying to spread their theory. But it's not true that those are vestigial, okay?
No, having a function doesn't mean not vestigial. That's one of the biggest things that creationists get wrong. Like, okay, look. A bird wing has a vestigial hand on the end. But it functions to allow for flight. Functions and vestigiality are not mutually exclusive. That's just how it is. It's actually fairly hard to find many examples of things that have literally no function. But some examples do include mole eyes in species of moles where the eye is entirely encased in skin and can't actually get any light at all, but the moles still grow an eye. But maybe that's just microevolution? I don't know.
There are no vestigial organs, and if there were, think about it, that would be the opposite of evolution. That's losing, not gaining.
Evolution is not a process of just constant gaining.
No, okay.
Do you think that if evolution were true, we would predict that everything would just be a biological Swiss Army knife? Like
Kent thinks evolution is gaining. That's all it is. Like in biology.
Yeah. Oh, and TD Lane says at Dapper Dino, I'm going to read all these and might send a suggestion to you. Please do. Like I said, I want this to be a community effort. I don't want it to just all be me and Bent and Duke and Erica. We're gonna open this up, and anyone who wants to can come in and submit stuff. And of course, there's gonna be a vetting process. And okay, I'm gonna be very honest. Mostly, it's just gonna be me assessing if I think it works with like the general ecology we're going for, and if it's plausible. And I'm not really gonna share a lot of like my decision-making process. But I'm pretty open, so there you go.
How's that going to help? You lose everything until you have it all?
No, you can gain things too.
Oh my gosh, I just got stupider from what he said.
All right, well, that's worth a drink then. I just noticed that this is the cup that I put an ice cube into that hadn't melted or hadn't frozen all the way before I put it in. So I put it in my cup, and then like it burst into a pile of water, and I was like, "Aw." Anyway.
Oops.
We could spend 2 days on whale evolution. Every one of them, Ambulocetus and Pacacetus.
Oh, and Burnbird is going to help too. Yeah, please read about it. We have all sorts of information on there. There's also stuff about human history, because this all takes place in, I think, the 2700s, if I'm remembering correctly. And so another option is, once we get a lot of the organisms set up and well described, I'm going to add in a little bit more lore about human history and things, and then we'll even start accepting things like short story compositions. Like if you want to write a short story about someone visiting one of these planets or whatever, go for it.
Have all been proven below.
Can I just say real quick, how do you want them, like if Burnbird wants to send you some ideas, how do you want him to do that? Like through the Discord?
There's a few options. There is, so actually, I'm having someone is setting up a Dapper Dino fan-made server on Discord for me. Cool. So when I get word that is fully set up, I'm going to start linking to that. So that's one option. If you are a patron, which by the way, link to the Patreon in the description. If you want to become a Patreon, it's a minimum of $1 a month. That's all it takes. That's
less than a cup of coffee a month.
That's true. And actually, if all of my subscribers gave me $1 a month, I'd be making a fairly decent amount off of Patreon. Anyway, so you can submit it there. My Twitter DMs are open. At least I think they're open. If they're not, let me know, and I'll probably just open them. Let's see. You can email them to me. My email is available. You can find my email on YouTube. You can also just shout at me during a live chat or something and say, "Oh, hey, I have this idea," and then I can tell you how I would like to receive it at that moment. So,
and just to add on, like, I had a desire to help. I thought it was pretty cool, but I don't know what I'm talking about. And just talking with him for a few minutes, maybe 15 minutes, and giving some ideas, we were able to get these creatures created.
Yeah.
So it's not as complicated as I thought it was going to be.
No, it's actually really simple. And
it's a lot of fun.
I can fill in some of the details. So if what I request is a basic description in text, and if you can, some kind of sketch of what you think it should look like, and then I will turn it into a nice 3D thing when I have some time. If I start getting a lot of submissions, it might turn into I start uploading text descriptions without pictures first. Or if you give me permission, which you'll have to do explicitly, I might put up your art as either a placeholder, or if it's good enough, it might just be the actual art I go with. Because I only have so much time. Not everything can get a nice 3D rendered image. So here we go, Kent.
They can't be intermediate species, okay? The authors were certain the feet were enormous, even though nothing was found.
What do you mean that nothing was found? You're literally showing me what was found, and there's a foot. Look at that. I'm looking at a left front foot, aren't you?
At least one.
So no feet were found?
Is part A what they thought, and part B is what they found?
Yeah, so part B is exactly what they found. Part A, and well, the reg stuff, I believe, is they found stuff that they can't positively identify, but this is what they think it is. And then A is how the rest of the animal is reconstructed to likely be.
Is B a front, like, claw foot thing, and then the back is also a foot?
So A has a foot.
I don't know.
That's speculative. A has that. There's, you can see like a radius and an ulna and some carpals, metacarpals, and digits, like phalanges. And then up in part A, you can see they reconstructed a femur and a scapula and like some extra ribs and some more vertebrae. So they definitely found a foot because you're showing us one. So I'm going to drink for Kent Hovind blatantly lying while showing the evidence that he's lying on screen, and his audience being moronic enough to just be like, he's probably right. Because that hurts my brain, and alcohol makes my brain hurt less right now.
Until the next day.
Right, hey, I have coconut water on standby for tomorrow morning, and it's going to be the first thing I do tomorrow morning. I'm gonna go drink a nice tall. It's basically a tall boy of coconut water with pulp. I like the little bits of coconut because I don't know.
It's good.
Yeah.
Basilosaurus could not possibly have been ancestral to any of the modern whales.
Which no one disputes.
Pakicetus was made from one small piece of jaw, a small piece of skull, a small piece of jaw, and a few teeth.
Once again, I have to drink for this. Look at the lower right. They're literally showing you what it was made of. And I'm seeing, like, femurs, what looks like probably a radius. I'm seeing probably a tibia, maybe? Part of most of a hip. I'm seeing vertebrae from all sections. I'm seeing ribs. I'm seeing phalanges. Some metacarpals, some metatarsals, some tarsal bones, some carpal bones. Like, Kent, if you're gonna lie, don't show the evidence that you're lying on screen. Pro tip for anyone. If you're gonna lie in a presentation, which I don't recommend that you do, but if you're gonna do it, don't prove that you're lying on screen. Just don't. That's my pro tip for you. I know, you might not have known that. It's a tricky little subtle thing about lying to people.
Even if you have a doctor's degree, you shouldn't do it.
Yeah, just stop. Kent. Oh my God, Kent. I can't. Oh, I have to drink again.
You find a little bit of jaw, a little bit of skull, a couple of teeth, and you know that it's half whale, half something on land? That's kind of a...
Well, one of the big reasons that we know that it's related to whales is because of what's called a sigmoid process, which is in fact on the skull, Kent, and is unique in modern animals to whales. So the skull is actually a surprisingly important part of identifying something as being closely related to whales. What do you know?
Stretch, don't you think? We'll cover more on that later, but there's all kinds of stuff on our website about this.
I like this one. Dark Knight Apologetics says, Kent is an idiot, and this is coming from a devout Christian. And yeah, no, you're right. He definitely
I love his poses on these pictures. He's got the best poses.
I should find a high quality version of that for some picture, because I could rotate that hand slightly, and then you know what it would look like if I mirrored it?
Yeah, well, I do, yeah. But I want that top picture on a t-shirt. I just want to walk around with that. Just like cut it out so it's just like a portrait of him It's because it's way too wide, and I just want that on a t-shirt.
Nice. Oh, speaking of the Spec Evolution project, if you guys have ideas for the name for it, because the name that's currently in there is very much a placeholder, send those my way too. Because if I like the name, I will change it, and I will credit you for that in like the next live stream or something that I do.
Nice.
I've got in my museum a 15.5-foot python snake skin.
That's technically
If
true.
you look at the south end of that snake skin, it's got a couple claws attached to a little 2-inch bone going up inside the snake's body.
Okay. Also true.
We've got them
Thinking.
we've got it in our museum, okay? Textbook says, see, boys and girls, this is a vestigial structure. The
Yeah.
boa and the python have these little tiny claws. Do whales or snakes have back legs? You can see that they don't. Yet, both animals have vestigial hip bones and leg bones where legs may once have existed.
Is Kent going to argue right now that a bone ending in a claw that is connected to an arch of bone that develops from the posterior limb buds that also represents the transition point between one set of vertebrae and the what are obviously caudal vertebrae isn't a hip bone and a leg bone with a finger on the end? Or a toe, I guess?
Maybe.
Because, like, do you think claws grow on many things besides toes, Kent? This
sure.
might be the episode that breaks me.
I'm not sure Kent thinks at all.
If I die after this, send flowers to my widow who doesn't exist. So just, I guess, send flowers to my apartment, which you can get the address for from Kent Hovind, because if I'm already
I'll let
dead,
you know after he dies.
yeah, if I die, you can dox the shit out of me, man. I don't care. Because
I'll tell him.
you can tell them my real name.
Your real name.
You can send them photos of me, which will just be a dinosaur, so it won't matter
Right,
much.
obviously.
Yeah, you can tell them where my apartment is. I don't care. Don't dox my family, though.
Okay. I won't.
This is a lie. This textbook says they have reduced hind legs. Rudimentary hind legs of a python snake.
Yeah?
You've got to be kidding.
No, I want you to tell me what you think those are, Kent. Because look, the ribs end right there. And I don't know if you guys know this, but in reptiles, ribs go all the way down to the sacral vertebrae. So we've got what looks like maybe one sacral vertebra attached to these hips, and then we've got caudal vertebrae. What are those, if not hind legs? I want Kent to answer this question, because I don't know what he's going to say.
He would say
Those
they're
little-
claws. Hello? They have a common designer. That's what he would say.
Yeah, probably.
Claws are used in
Bird
mating. Okay, the
Bird
snake-
hit it.
Oh, what is that?
Hovind Dictionary. Lie equals something I don't understand. That is very, very, very true. And it's funny because it's true.
Yup. You hit that nail right on the head, man. Which is where you normally hit nails, so I don't know why that's much of a saying.
But Kent thinks he understands.
Does
And he
he, though?
thinks it doesn't make sense. He thinks this is wrong. Kent's an idiot.
Well, yeah. Well, he's an idiot about... Sometimes I think he's actually pretty smart, but he just willfully doesn't know things. You know, willfully ignorant, like he likes to go on about.
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have any arms. And you can't talk and say, scoot over, honey. Okay. This has nothing whatsoever to do with walking on land. It has to do with getting baby snakes.
But does that make it not a hind limb, Kent? That it's not used for walking doesn't make it not a limb. Like, look, humans have 4 limbs. You know what they don't use them for is walking. But that doesn't make them not 4 limbs. Don't OD on ibuprofen, because that's a thing.
See you in the emergency room.
And that's how Bent got a perforated ulcer.
So once again, somebody's real dumb about their snake anatomy, or they're lying to your kids trying to spread their theory. This textbook shows the coccyx, the human tailbone.
I like how he stumbled over that word. I don't think Kent likes saying coccyx.
Coccyx.
And Discover magazine, and it says, that's all that's left of the tail that most mammals still use. Humans have a tailbone that is of no apparent use. I was in a debate in Huntsville, Alabama, against the president of the North Alabama Atheist Association. He got up in front of God and everybody and said, folks, I've got proof for evolution. Humans have a tailbone they no longer need. I said, Mr. Patterson, I taught biology and anatomy. I happen to know there are 9 little muscles that attach to the tailbone, without which you cannot perform some valuable functions.
I'm not sure if 9 is correct, because I haven't looked into it, but it is true that those are pretty important muscles that you would not want to be without. So we're going to drink for Kent. And that's one of the things about Kent, is that, like, he mixes in just enough things that are true to, like, bamboozle his audience. Because it is true.
He's a bamboozler.
Yeah, he is.
He's a charlatan.
Yes. Like, yeah, no, you don't want to be without your coccyx. It's going to be unpleasant for you.
He looks like he's about to sneeze.
Kind of.
I won't tell you what they all are, but trust me, you need those muscles. I said, now, if you think...
They have to go... They have to do with things like avoiding your bowels, in case anyone wants to know. You'll be extremely incontinent if you don't have them.
The tailbone is vestigial. I, Kent Hovind, will pay to have yours removed. Bend over.
Okay, so let's just assume, just assume that the coccyx were actually literally completely useless.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean I would be willing to have quote-unquote Dr. Hovind remove mine with what? His pocket knife? I'm sorry, Kent, but even if you were a doctor of Christian education, which first, I don't know that that's a real thing you can get a doctorate in, but even if it is, you're not
a doctorate.
one.
It's a doctor's degree.
Fair. But even if that is a real thing where you can get a, quote, doctor's degree in, you don't have one. So, and even if you did, yeah, I wouldn't let you near me when it comes to surgery. Even if it were medically necessary. Let's say I needed urgent surgery to do, I don't know, like a quadruple bypass. Not gonna let Kent do it. So, this is one of his stupidest points, which means I'm gonna drink for it. And we have it being pointed out that Kent seems aggressive and hostile in his contemporary videos. And you know what? I think you're right, and Burnbird says that. And someone else, I think, said it too. So I think that Kent realizes that people have figured out his shtick. And that when they have discussions with him, they're getting the better of him, basically. And Dark Knight Apologetic says, you can get a doctorate in Christian theology. That's true. That's absolutely true. Because that's a field of study. I don't know that you can get a legitimate doctorate in, quote, Christian education. Because, and Bob Knob needs urgent butt surgery. Well, I suggest... I suggest consulting your local physician. Because
Talk to a butt doctor.
I believe they call them proctologists.
Okay. I prefer butt doctor.
What about proctonomist?
I don't know what that is. Maybe.
Well, you know how there's like astronomy and astronomers?
Yeah, maybe.
Proctonomer?
Maybe. Try that. Call your proctonomer.
Yeah, there you go. You know what the difference is? So, like, when things end in ology, right? That's from the Greek logos, which means word or study of.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have things that end in nomi, like astronomy, or not paleo, what's the other one? There's another one, I can't think of it. Anyway, that's from Greek nomos, which means law.
Okay.
So astronomy is the laws of the stars, because astrology was already taken by nonsense.
By astrology.
Yeah. He's literally picturing himself with a Swiss Army knife, offering to cut out someone's coccyx. Even if you were right, Kent, that's a stupid offer. No one would take you up on it.
So when you said what you said about having him remove it, I was gonna say, well, he said he'd pay for someone to do it. I didn't think he'd do it himself, but yeah, no, he's gonna do it himself.
No, I've seen him say this thing before.
Chisel jaw Kent is gonna do it.
So the thing is that I love about this picture is it's obviously Kent's self-image because he obviously approved this. This is how he sees himself. I love that that's how he sees himself. Because
Or
it's
just-
so crazy.
Dark Knight apologetics, they're all still in here. I didn't swallow any, but it really is ibuprofen. I
I'm
do get
glad-
headaches a lot, so I have it in front of me.
Glad you didn't swallow that many, because my goodness.
My upper lip was blocking all of them. So.
All right.
But no, it's not candy. It's real.
Critical Thinking, this book says, 2005 edition. At the end of your backbone is a coccyx, a few small bones that are fused together. Could the human coccyx be a vestigial structure? Or is it the start of a newly evolving structure?
Could be both, so I agree. It's a bad question.
That's thinking critically. They give the kids two answers, two options, both of which are wrong. There's a third option, you know. Maybe it's fine just like it is.
I mean, it is fine just like it is. But it being fine like it is doesn't mean that it's not caudal vertebrae that in other organisms that are closely related to humans form a tail. Like, those aren't contradictory statements. But hey, you know what? False dichotomy for everyone. You get a false dichotomy, and you get a false dichotomy, and you get a false dichotomy.
Notice they don't give that as an option, do they? Maybe it was
No, they
designed
don't.
to support your colon and support your lower back for posture when you sit, and 5 or 6 other things you can read your Gray's Anatomy about.
I will say, do not bruise your coccyx because it will make sitting hurt a lot. And I can't say how I know that, not having a coccyx, being a dinosaur.
I'll tell you how I know it. Because
Oh.
I bruised mine 10, 15 years ago. 15 years ago. It still hurts.
So there's this guy I know. It's definitely not
Yeah.
me, but it's a guy I know. We'll call
Right.
him Tim.
Okay.
Okay. And he bruised his coccyx in high school.
Okay.
And then, so it was, he couldn't really sit down. So he just was standing in class in high school. And his French teacher got really angry at him for some reason. And was like, you have to sit down. And I was like, and he was like, I can't. And yeah,
Right.
apparently, like, then that was a thing. And the answer that came back was, you can't make people who are injured and can't sit, French teacher. But then again, she was fired like the next year, and that was a good thing because that Tim guy did a lot better in French the next year and won an award for being like the best French speaker of high school
Wow.
students in like the whole city or something. I don't know.
Whoa!
Yeah,
That's impressive for
Yeah.
a dinosaur. I mean, a person.
yeah, it was a person. It wasn't me, obviously.
No.
That definitely wasn't me.
'Cause your real name
Although
is
I
Dapper.
do speak some French, which is a complete coincidence.
Just a coincidence.
Just a coincidence. Definitely wasn't me.
Okay. They say, aren't babies born with tails once in a while? No. Well, that baby's got a tail right there. No, he doesn't. It's not a tail. That's just fatty tissue. There's no bone, no muscle, no cartilage.
Oh, that actually is a pretty good question. Dark Knight Apologetics says, there's something I've always wondered about. Why are people that study theology called theologians and not theologists? I don't know. I honestly don't. I never actually ever asked that, but I don't know. And so here's the thing about tails, right? I can't speak to this example here because I don't have enough information. But I'm gonna go with let's just do a quick Google search for atavistic human tail. All right, let's do images. All right, I'm gonna try and find an X-ray if I can. Let's see. Oh, come on, X-ray. Because I know I've seen an X-ray of an actual human tail. Oh, stupid.
OneDrive. Okay.
Thanks. Oh, hey, look. No, that's not it. Why are you gonna be difficult, Google?
You should use Bing.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Anyone uses Bing.
Alright, well, I'm having trouble finding it. Maybe I'll find it later. I don't know. Don't take my word for it. Look it up yourself. But don't take my word for it. Dun-dun-dun. Anyway, yeah, so there are a lot of things that are basically just benign tumors that people are born with, and sometimes are in about the position of a tail. However, it does actually sometimes occur that humans are born with atavistic tails. Usually, the external vertebrae are not actually calcified, they're just cartilaginous, but sometimes there is in fact some striated muscle, and there's some limited amount of conscious control over the tail. It's a thing that does happen. So Kent's just wrong that it never happens. Although I'm also going to go out on a limb and say that this baby is probably not a reincarnation of a Hindu deity. But then again, I guess I can't prove that, so...
I am 99% sure that it is not.
I'm way more sure than that.
Reincarnation of Hindu god.
But then again, what do I know?
It's not even lined up with the spine. It has to do with the way the baby develops inside the mother. There's fat around the nervous system to protect it until the bone grows around it.
There's still fat around the nerves. Does he not know about, like, what was it? Is it myelin cells? Myocytes?
Not myocytes. The myelin cells, I think, astrocytes. I don't remember. But then there are schwannomas. No,
but
that's the
if
tumor.
I remember correctly, there's fat cells that surround most neurons, right? Aren't there?
Oligodendrocytes, maybe? I can't remember which one's which.
But I'm not crazy, right? Like, I'm remembering a real thing.
You're not crazy.
Okay.
Well, you're not crazy about this.
Okay, right. Kent has a vestigial brain. I will drink to that, Tyler West.
Yeah, oligodendrocytes are the myelinating cells of the central nervous system.
And they're composed...
And then I think they're called Schwann cells in the peripheral nervous system.
And they're high in fat?
Oh, I don't remember. I just know what they look like when they turn into cancer.
Oh. All right. Well, there you go. Ha! Fat-ass baby. Thanks, Bob.
Generally, the fat is resorbed into the system as the baby grows.
Ooh,
and develops
resorbed.
bone.
Good
But
word.
in extremely rare occasions, the fat is excluded outside the body like a big wart. So what you do, you cut it off, sew it up, put a diaper on the kid, and send him home.
Hey, you know what? Kent's not wrong about that. That is, in fact, something that sometimes happens.
Yeah, they're Schwann cells, also called neurolemma cell. Any of the cells in the peripheral nervous system that produce a myelin sheath are on neuronal axons.
There you go. Also, we have a super chat for $2 dues from Christopher Hugan, who, by the way, is a patron. He is, in fact, in the credits that I'm currently rendering right now. This is a little preview. This is one of the end frames for the credits that I got going.
Nice.
So, yeah, check that out. Anyway, he says, when is Kent right about anything? Well, he is sometimes right about things. Like, yeah, that picture probably wasn't a tail. Most things that look like tails on humans, not tails. And that's why we drink for it, because it's infrequent enough that we won't die. Because that's the thing about drinking games. You got to make it frequent enough that you can get a little bit tipsy, but not so frequent that you just die.
Or if you're like me, I don't drink alcohol, so I don't get tipsy, but I like drinking fluid a lot, which is why I stopped drinking alcohol, because when I did drink it, I'd drink a lot of it. I got more stuff to drink with this awesome Dapper Dino mug.
But it is pretty cool, which, by the way, you can find in the Teespring store, linked in the description. There's also t-shirts, baby onesies, tank tops for both men and women. There's hoodies, a pillow, a canvas print, a blanket. Someone actually got the blanket not that long ago, and it looks really nice. I like it. So yeah, I guess it's shill time. Go check out the Teespring store, and if you like the stuff... Oh, Godzilla drink! Yeah, if you like it, buy a thing. Help out the channel.
It's just nothing like but just like a wart. That's all it is. Cut it off. It's not a tail. This one says the coccyx is a small bone at the end of the human vertebral column. It has no present function, and is thought to be the remainder of bones that once occupied the long tail of a tree-living ancestor. They told me when I was a kid, man used to have a tail, but he lost it because he didn't need it. I thought, didn't need it. Have you ever thought how handy a tail would be?
No, I've never thought that.
Have you ever come to the door with 2 sacks of groceries? Man, wouldn't that be nice to be able to grab that door and walk right in there? You could drive down the highway and hold that can of Coke and tune the radio knob all at the same time.
I love how he just assumes that the tail would have been prehensile, even though prehensile tails are actually pretty scarce in the animal kingdom. Like, okay, we got chameleons, We got New World monkeys, opossums, and I'm having trouble thinking of anything else with a prehensile tail. Honestly, like...
But we're pretty closely related to the monkeys, right? Like, wouldn't we...
Not the New World monkeys. We're much more closely related to the Old World monkeys, which have non-prehensile tails.
Well, I didn't know.
And by we, I mean you, because I'm a dinosaur.
Yeah, me and the chat. The
chat.
Proverbial we. The editor.
Also, we are $186.70 away from another tutu video. So if you want to see 2 tutu videos in a row, basically, because I haven't actually, no, not quite in a row. It would have to be episode 5 of Noah's Zookeeper, which I have started working on.
And if you add $200 to whatever number you just said, you get Ben Hovind in the tutu.
Yeah, so, hey, start...
Probably with some yakety sax music behind it. Dancing around.
That, I wouldn't pay $200 for it, but I would be very interested to see it.
Lost it because we didn't need it.
We'll come
That's
up with
a
the
lie.
price.
Oh!
Everything used...
Chris Love, also a patron, by the way. Thank you very much for your support. Says, seahorses, question, prehensile tail? That is a good point. Seahorses do have a prehensile tail, so I'm going to give you that. That is a really good point. I had not thought about that. Yeah, seahorses.
As evidence for evolution has been proven wrong. If real evidence exists, I'd like to see it.
I mean, a lot of it was in the stuff that you just listed, but sure.
We'll pay $250,000 for real proof for evolution.
Not anymore.
But don't lie to me. I think you ought to demand that your school board cut out pages with lies on them. Don't put up with that stuff.
That's why you're not in the textbooks at all, Kent.
Because it would be a lie. Yeah.
Because every page would have lies on it.
I was speaking at University of West Florida, and this one biology teacher said, Hovind, I don't think we should deface textbooks. I said, what do you mean?
I don't believe him.
Yeah, this does sound like a thing that's made up.
He said, well, tonight you said we should cut out the pages with this stuff on it. We shouldn't deface a textbook. I said, well, sir, suppose you were teaching math and you found a book that said 2 + 2 is 5. What would you tell your students to do? He said, I would tell them to mark out the wrong answer and write in the right answer. You would deface a textbook? I said, now, sir, you teach biology, don't you? He said, yes, I do. I said, well, suppose you found one of your textbooks that taught the embryo has gill slits or the snake has a vestigial pelvis or, all this stuff I covered tonight. Are you going to tell your kids to tear that page out? He said, oh, no. I said, would you tell them to mark it out and then write something?
What's the question? Sorry.
Why would he?
Yeah, it's a weird sort of thing. I mean, really what you should do is if you found things are definitely wrong in the textbook is try to find a better textbook, but okay.
In the column that it's not correct? He said, no. I said, would you at least...
Yeah, why would he write that it's not when it is correct, Kent?
Well, let's say he found something...
Your analogy doesn't work.
Let's say they found something that isn't correct. I do think marking...
Sure, you could do that, but what Kent's specifically saying is the true things in these textbooks are the same as 2 + 2 = 5. Kent's saying that
that's
they're
true.
wrong when they're not wrong.
That's true.
You're wrong, Kent. Ha!
Take that.
Warning sticker in the front cover that said, hey, kids, the information on page 85 is wrong. Would you at least warn them? He said, oh, no. I said, you would correct a math book, but you won't correct a biology book. I said, you, sir, are a hypocrite. And the folks in this county need to help you get a different job picking peaches or changing tires.
So, because I was also there, since we're lying about things, and he actually said, I won't correct them because they're already correct, you idiot, now get out of my school. Kent left that part out.
Nice.
You got no business taking our tax dollars to lie to these kids coming through your class. We're paying for this school.
Kent, you don't pay taxes.
And Bob Knob...
That's why you went to prison.
Bob Knob made a good point. Kent is super polite in his made-up stories. It's true. He's much more polite in his made-up stories than he is in real life.
Why don't you be respectful and resign, or quit lying to the kids?
Yeah, why don't you, Kent?
You don't have much tact. Oh, I made full contact with that guy, that's for sure. Okay.
You tackle him, Kent? Is that what you're telling me? I made full contact with that guy?
He forgot to stop making up crazy parts to his story.
Remember to hit like on the video, because there are at least 6 people watching who haven't hit like. Unless you don't like it, in which case hit dislike. I don't care.
Evolution is unproved and unprovable. We believe it because the only alternative is special creation. They just don't want
I don't care what Sir Arthur Keith said, and that's not why I accept evolution.
to believe this. They don't want to believe in creation. And they're willing to believe a lie rather than believe the truth, just so they can support their wicked lifestyle.
Projection.
Yeah. Projection, much, Kent?
Psalm 94 says, "He that formed the eye, shall he not see?" God formed the eye. Eyeballs are incredibly complicated. Charles Darwin said, "To suppose that the eye could have been formed by natural selection seems, I freely confess, absurd."
Oh, page 217. I'm going to go look that up right now and see what comes after. Give me a second, because I have to go get something off my shelf, and that requires me to do things like turn on the light.
I was just typing to Dark Knight Apologetics, but now I'll just say it out loud since I've got time. Yeah, tell any fictional story you want. Just go for it. Just type it up. The more outlandish, the better. Just make yourself seem really smug, but also polite. And it's a fun game to play. Kent plays it, and we talk at him. He can't hear us. I wonder if Kent would ever watch these videos. Maybe do a whack an atheist on one of us. Wouldn't that be something? You want to know a secret? I'm not an atheist. I'm a Christian. Former young earth creationist. Still a Christian, though. And I still enjoy bashing Kent on Kent with Bent. And I know some people in the chat are too. I think Dark Knight Apologetics is. So it's the thing. We can all do it. We can come together and make fun of liars. I grew up on Kent Hovind. That's why I'm still interested in his videos.
All right, unsurprisingly, it's not on page 217, and I'm not going to ding Kent for this because I don't know. Maybe he's using the 1859 edition.
Maybe.
It's possible. But anyway, in my edition, published by Barnes & Noble Classics, it's on page 156. To suppose that the eye, with all of its inimitable contrivances for adjusting the focus to different distances, for emitting different amounts of lights, and for correction of spherical and chromatic aberration, could have been formed by natural selection, seems, I freely admit, well, he did put the ellipsis in there, that's fair, absurd in the highest possible degree. Yet, the next word is yet, so hold on. Yet reason tells me that if numerous gradations from a perfect to complex eye to one from a perfect and complex eye to one very imperfect and simple, each grade being useful to its possessor, can be shown to exist, if further the eye does vary ever so slightly, and the variations be inherited, which is certainly the case, and if any variation or modification in the organ be ever useful to an animal under changing conditions of life, then the difficulty of believing that a perfect and complex eye could be formed by natural selection though inseparable by our imagination, can hardly be considered real. How a nerve comes to be sensitive to light hardly concerns us more than how life for itself first originated, but I remark that several facts make me suspect that any sensitive nerve may be rendered sensitive to light, and likewise to those coarser vibrations of the air which produce sound. And then he goes on for several pages to talk about actual examples of radiations in eye construction that make the evolution of the eye plausible. So, Kent, that's the book, you lied about this one, didn't you?
But then he goes on for 3 or 4 pages and says how he thinks it happened anyway.
Okay, never mind.
Your eyeball's amazing. You know, at the back of your eye, there are 137 million light-sensitive...
Yeah, but he downplayed that so much, though.
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, Darwin goes into actual detail about, like, hey, here's why it's not actually unreasonable. And he's right.
But the way Ken presents it, which part of what he said is technically true, just made it seem absurd. That's
right.
That's true con man charisma right there.
It is, yeah, actually. Like, that's some super sneaky stuff, because he's like, oh, I know this is a quote mine. I'm going to deflect away, but keep the essence of the quote mine. Like, that's clever. That's one of the reasons why I don't think Kent is actually an idiot. Because he does things like that are clever, and I'm like, how can he be an idiot? He can't be. He has to be dishonest.
Yeah.
Cells in 1 square inch, called your retina. All of them wired straight to the brain. How would you like to hook up 137 million electrical connections in 1 square inch?
I mean, my computer does a lot more than that, but sure, okay.
My Heavenly Father did. He's pretty smart, isn't he?
I guess humans are smarter than your Heavenly Father? Is that really what you want to go with, Kent? Because humans can do a lot more connections than that in a square inch. Like, Bent, how many electrical connections would you say are in your probably less than a square inch processor on your computer?
There's so many. I don't know.
At least in the millions.
I'm gonna look it up right now. I don't know.
Here we go. We're looking stuff up. Because that's what you do when you don't know stuff. You'll look it up. Also, I hope I didn't accidentally damage my copy of Origin of the Species, because it's my only copy.
Okay, so I'm just gonna, it's a processor, right?
Right.
I don't have an AMD EPIC processor, but that's the first thing that came up. 19 billion transistors.
Billion. And what's the surface area?
I don't know for sure, but probably about a square inch or a square centimeter, really.
Well, let's say this. It's got to be less than 3 square inches, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but he said 1, didn't he?
He said 1 square inch. So what I'm saying is, even if we divide this by 3 and we just assume that it's 3 square inches, it's still a whole heck of a lot more than a retina. So I don't know if hooking up all those electrical connections in the retina is a miracle. Then I guess humans are gods because they've created processors, by Kent's logic.
I don't know if he says it's a miracle, just he's smugly saying his Heavenly Father did it. I guess that would be a miracle.
Yeah, exactly. That would have to be a miracle.
Creation is a miracle. So
there you go. Humans can do miracles, I guess. Good job, guys. You did it.
How old is this video? Because I don't know what the processors were like back then, but they probably still had more.
You think he would change his argument? Because he doesn't change any of his arguments.
Doesn't he?
No, he doesn't. What? He hasn't changed an argument in decades.
What? I'm shocked.
Yeah, and Bob Knob says some of the new AMD processors are a lot bigger than that. Yeah, I believe you. Humans are apparently miracle workers. Like I said, good job, guys. You did it.
We did it. Not you, Dad.
Not me. I didn't do it.
Even though I had nothing to do with it.
Now, I debated one atheist one time, and he said, Hovind, the eye is an example for evolution because it's poorly designed.
It is, actually.
I said, what on earth are you talking about? He said, well, the light comes into your eye, and then it goes through blood vessels in front of the retina. Oh. He said, that's wired backwards.
Yep.
He said,
okay, do we drink for this? Because I don't think this conversation ever happened, but Kent is still saying it.
Sure, I'll drink to anything. Right. I don't care.
By the way, the Dapper Dinosaur channel recommends that you drink, actually, orders that you drink responsibly. Yeah, you have to.
That's an order.
And the Dapper Dino channel in no way recommends that you follow along with the drinking rules. However, they are out there if you choose to. And I accept absolutely zero liability for you killing yourself with liver poisoning or anything else like that. Continuing on.
So the octopus has a much better eye because their blood vessels are behind the retina. I said, sir, let me just explain something to you, okay? I said, we live in the air. Now, air is a pretty poor insulator for UV light. So your body is designed with the blood vessels in front of the retina. That's your body's last defense against ultraviolet light. Now, octopus live in the water.
Water.
Okay? Water blocks UV light. So they don't need their blood vessels in front.
Okay, so here's the prediction that you can make off of this. Right, because his idea is, okay, God intelligently designed vertebrate eye, or not vertebrate. Well, actually, yeah, it is vertebrate eyes, I guess, because fish are the same way. But we'll ignore fish for the moment. He intelligently designed land animal eyes to have the blood vessels in front of the photosensitive cells in land animals, and in water aquatic animals, he did the opposite. Right, so we should expect whales to have eyes like squid, and snails to have eyes like humans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, land snails. We'll go with land snails, because there are also snails in the ocean, so fair. Okay, you want to take a wild guess as to what's actually the case?
It's the other way around.
It is! In fact, snail retinas are wired the same way as squid retinas, And whale retinas are wired the same way as human retinas. So even if it were the case that this were a better design for land life as a result of needing to filter out UV light, which honestly, I don't care whether that's the case or not. I'm willing to just give it to them. It doesn't actually follow the pattern that you would predict from this being an intelligent design, which is that all land animals would have their blood vessels in front of the light-sensitive cells, and all aquatic organisms would have them behind. Instead, what actually occurs is that organisms more closely related to, say, fish than mollusks... Oh, drink for Godzilla. Twice. Yeah. It follows the evolutionary tree, just like you'd expect if evolution were true. And like, according to Kent, apparently, you wouldn't expect if evolution were false. So... That wasn't even Bob Knob, by the way.
What?
That was your alleged wife.
My alleged wife?
I haven't seen any documentation.
See, we're designed for living in air, and they're designed for living in water. Now, if you want to swap eyes with an octopus, you just go ahead, sir, but you're going to be blind in a few days, okay?
How come snails aren't blind in a few days, Kent? Like, just let me know. Email me. You actually now have a link to my channel because I emailed it to you, which is something we're going to get into pretty soon.
Okay? Because they don't have the blood vessels in front to block the UV light. What a dumb evidence for evolution. What they're trying to say is, well, God wouldn't do it this way, so it must have evolved. Well, that's a silly argument for evolution.
Drink.
Maybe you just don't understand why it was designed that way. I think man's understanding of the human body is about like putting a 5-year-old kid under the hood of your car and saying, hey, kid, take out whatever this thing doesn't need. You don't know what any of it does. You can take it all out, right?
That was.
Yeah.
You know, your eyeball's amazing. It would take a minimum of 100 years of Cray computer time to simulate what takes place in your eye many times every second. Eyeballs are amazing.
What?
I'm just not even going to put this down.
Like, I can't assess this really, but it just seems really hard to believe that that's how long it would take the Cray supercomputer to do that, but I don't, and plus, I mean, 1985, who gives a crap, but still, like, maybe?
But this textbook says, the complex...
Oh, Clay Corbin asks, what are we drinking to? I guess Clay hasn't been informed of the drinking rules. So first of all, like I said before, the Dapper Dinosaur channel in no way recommends that you follow our drinking rules. But we drink whenever Kent is right, whenever the stupid is so hard that we can't take it, or whenever we hear the Godzilla sound. So, there you go. And the Godzilla sound, I just leave on my phone, because it's one of my notifications. So, yeah.
Structure of the human eye may be the product of millions of years of evolution.
Evolution.
God get the glory for what he did. This textbook shows the kids a bird eye and a reptile eye, and it says right up here, boys...
Bird eyes are reptile eyes, because birds are reptiles.
And girls, you can better understand how the eye might have evolved if you picture a series of changes. You have to imagine how it happened.
Yeah, you have to imagine something that you can't directly observe, Kent. You can't literally go back in time. Let's just assume evolution is true. You're going to have to imagine what literally happened because you can't watch it happen. And even if creationism is true, you're going to have to imagine what happened because you can't literally go back and watch it. The idea that you have to imagine something doesn't make it false. Look, you can imagine anything you want, but you can also imagine, like, a subset of anything you want can be things that are real. Like, I don't have ice cream nearby, but I can imagine ice cream, and you know what? Ice cream is real. I could go get some. The fact that right now I would have to imagine ice cream doesn't make ice cream fake. You know what? It's stupid enough. I'm gonna drink for it.
I want ice cream now. Thanks.
Well, I can't help you with that. I guess I could, but I'm not going to.
Just imagine the eye changing. That's not science. Imagining how it happened.
Hello?
Where's the evidence?
My eyes have changed.
See, evolution only takes place in the imagination. Never takes place in reality. They're lying to you, okay? He that formed the eye, shall he not see? Science deals with things we can observe and study and test. You don't observe anything about evolution. If you have something
Yes, you do.
that's designed like an eyeball, it demands a designer.
Well, it doesn't, but I think that's where we're going to leave it off for now as far as Kent is concerned. But we're also going to get into the current situation with the debate that I'm trying to set up between myself and Erica and Kent Hovind. So I emailed Kent's secretary a little while back after talking to him on the phone about this whole thing. And I'm going to read to you what his response was. So just give me a second while I get it up. That's what she said. Oh, anyway, this is what I got from Hovind's team. Please note, Dr. Hovind follows this general pattern for debating. About 10 minutes introduction, 5 minutes each opponent to tell a bit about themselves and what they do, approximately 3-minute responses, about 5 minutes concluding remarks, 60 minutes or a little over should be the total length of the debate. Okay, that's been his thing forever. Other considerations, this is where it starts getting interesting. So he asked for a professional discourse. I don't care. Then he says stuff about where he'll debate. I don't really care. But then he starts with some demands. He requires that you submit in order to confirm the debate. 1, your full actual real name and any reasonable picture of you. Dr. Hovind likes to put the name of the person and their photo in the first slide of the debate. Helps us keep track of who this debate was held with and what their name was. Debaters will be presented and will be seen on the debate video either way. So right there, Kent Hovind is demanding that anyone who debates him needs to some degree, dox themselves. Mm-hmm. The exact topic of the debate you would like to debate, and all of the areas and subtopics you would like to cover in this particular debate. Example, evolution, fossil record, how horse evolution, macro versus microevolution. I don't even know how you could list all of those things, because there's no way to predict, especially with someone as slippery as Kent. Please state your exact position on the topic of the debate and your exact position on subtopics, which again would be literally impossible. Maybe you had questions you would like Dr. Hovind to address. I mean, that's fair. If you've had any previous debates, please provide a link to at least one. Okay, I linked my debate with him on his channel. I linked the copy of it on his channel. Mm-hmm. I also linked Erica's debate with him from Modern Day Debate.
Which I still haven't seen, and I don't know why. I need to watch it.
Wait, you haven't watched Erica's debate with Kent Hovind?
I've still not watched that debate.
All right, what are you doing?
I watched
We're going to do that
the beginning
together.
of it. I watched the beginning of it, but not the whole thing.
We're going to do that together. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know, and
okay.
I keep forgetting to watch it.
All right, what are your personal social media platforms? The name that you utilize on them, which, by the way, the word utilize is the stupidest word in the English language. Also, please provide at least
Just
two
say
links. Yeah. Also, provide at least 2 links for said platforms: your YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc., so we may confirm who you are. I don't even I sent him my Twitter that I use for this channel and my YouTube. I'm not sending him my personal Facebook profile. Please establish your credentials. If you have any degrees / papers, published / written books, well, guess what, Kent? You don't have any credentials. And if you have any areas of expertise, if you have a master's, PhD, bachelor's, work / lab experience, etc. I told him that I have a bachelor's in history, even though he has literally 0 legitimate degrees in anything. We will be hosting the debate on our YouTube channel, unless there's a third-party YouTube channel you would like to use. Please provide the link and handle name so it may be approved. I told him I will be fine with a Marvel Girl or Modern Day Debate, but that if he's going to be hosting it, I'm also going to be hosting it simultaneously. Your direct phone number, you would like to, if you would like, you can call Dr. Hovind. I'm not going to give you the number. It's publicly available. It's not hard to find. I did give him that. I did give him my phone number. So I'll bear that. Did you have a date in mind? Okay, that's whatever. It's fine. Just when he likes to schedule things. So yeah, basically, Hovind is like, if you want to debate me, I have to be able to dox you. Is essentially what I'm getting from this. So he seems to be tightening the reins. Oh, I missed a super chat, or did I miss
Just
it?
came in.
Oh, it just came in.
Just came in. Yeah.
Let's see. For $2 dues from Christopher Hugan, send her the dinosaur tutu photo. I assume you mean Erica. think she's seen it. If you know what, I'll ask her on Twitter. I don't expect a response for a little bit because it's like super late where she is. But I'll make sure that she's seen that.
Does he need a blood sample as well?
I'm serious.
He needs your last four of your social security, your mother's maiden name, and the street you grew up on.
Oh, and your bank PIN.
And your first pet's name.
Yeah.
And the first 5 of your social security number, too.
Right. It's like, my goodness. So I sent him, I gave him my first name, which is Timothy. That's already on my channel. It's already public information. Like,
what?
Everyone knows that my first name is Timothy.
Now, you're not related to that Tim guy you mentioned before, are you?
No, that's a complete coincidence.
Okay.
Yeah. I sent him a picture of my avatar. I was like, if you want to put this somewhere, you can do it. I forwarded this information to Erica because they also said outside of like the forum section of the email, they would also like Erica to send this stuff. And I said to Erica, like, I don't recommend you give him your last name or if you want to give him your phone number, I mean, that's totally up to you. And she was like, well, I'm not giving him my last name. I was like, yeah. I mean, I don't even have her first name. Or, sorry, last name. I have her first name. And
her last name is Gibbon.
That's possible.
Her middle name is Gutsick. I don't know.
And the thing is, like, I don't ever plan on asking for her last name. Like, why would it matter? Like,
it doesn't matter.
It's immensely stupid.
I've seen enough evidence that she's a person who can argue these things.
Right.
Why does it matter?
Right.
Who she is?
I honestly think that what he's doing is he's just trying to cut down on the number of debates that he has. Now,
Well, and so some of the questions to me sound like, hey, he might want to try and, if he wants all of your arguments, he's going to try to research them and be ready to debate, unlike the last time he debated you when he wasn't ready. I think
that could be interesting, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing, but then he can try to say something to counteract what you're going to say, and then you can prove him wrong again.
Burnbird says, just send him a fake last name like Smith. How would he know it's actually you? And that's actually a fair point. I suppose if he demands a last name and doesn't...
Like, that's the deal breaker?
Like, yeah, that's the thing. Like, oh, I won't do it unless you send me a photo. Like, maybe I'll just find a stock photo and send him a name like, oh, my last name is Grabowski.
The Grabowskis.
Yeah. Maybe I'll tell him my name is Timothy Michael Grabowski. Was it Michael Grabowski? What was his last name or first name?
I don't know if he had a first name.
I'll find out.
I
thought it was
remember
Mike.
it was Mike Stoklasa made the Grabowskis.
Oh, you know what? I'll just send him Timothy Michael Stoklasa. That'll be the name I give him. That if he demands a full real name, I will give him Timothy Michael Stoklasa. And we'll
Can I be
see
Ben
what happens.
Bauman?
Yes. And you know what? I will suggest that like, I don't know, I'll suggest that Erica say that her last name is Evans. And if you don't get that, go look up Red Letter Media and go watch a whole bunch of it, because it's great stuff.
Hundreds of hours of amazing content.
Basically, yeah.
Red Letter Media.
Not that they need my shout out. They've got 2 million subscribers or something?
No, they just passed 1 million. They should have a lot more, though.
They should, that's true. So if you're not subscribed to Red Letter Media, go check them out. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so maybe I'll just send him a fakes thing, because here's the thing, like, Kent Hovind lies enough that I don't feel bad about lying to him. I've never lied to him that I know of.
You'd prefer not to, though, because you tend to be...
Well, yeah, I prefer not to.
Person,
but like, if
that's the deal breaker, I mean...
If he wants me to dox myself, I'll just lie about it. Like, honestly, Kent lies about things that matter. I'll lie about my name.
Mm-hmm.
Although, by saying that my name isn't Timothy Michael Stoklasa... Now people might know that, like, that eliminates one of the option. Almost true. And then Tesla Ranger says McLovin. I mean, that's a good one too. I was hoping Mike need a stool sample. Yeah, that's possible. But hey, maybe if I eat enough horrible spicy stuff, he can get the stool and the blood sample in one go.
You should be Timothy Michael Hunt. Go by Mike. And see if you can get him to say Mike.
That would be amazing.
Oh, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see, channel news. I think it's time for channel news. So, Thursday, we have the first episode of Noah's Zookeeper, a brand new little series. Saturday, it looks like it's going to be a fairly early one. I think it's going to be like 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. We're doing another Leaving Earth Creationism. This is with a former AIG, Answers in Genesis, employee.
Nice.
He used to be one of their IT guys, so that should be interesting. Then the Tuesday after is another Kent with Bent. Again, title to be determined. If you have ideas, put them in the comments or whatever. Then that Thursday and Saturday are probably going to be the next 2 episodes of Noah's Zookeeper. Episode 3 will be the Tutu episode. But on the other hand, if I get someone for Leaving Earth Creationism, that will either be on Thursday or Saturday. I don't currently have anyone on the line for that, so it'll be a little bit up in the air if that happens. And that's as far ahead as I'm going to look right now. I'm currently about to finish episode 4 of Noah's Zookeeper, and I have episode 5 about halfway done. So there you go. And also the new credits that I'm still working on right now, actually they may have just finished, will be an update. So I update the credits anytime a billing cycle on Patreon goes through where there has been change to who I need to announce and put in the credits and whatnot. So that's happened. So there you go. That is channel news. Bent, what you got to plug?
I got coppermagma.com. That's it.
Check it out. It's got free stuff. There you go. And
music. And that's about it.
There you go. Well,
our next show is March 14th in Tucson. It's a free show, except that it might be like $5 or $10.
That's not free.
And it's all ages, except that it might be 21 and up. I don't know.
So is it a bar?
Yeah, they serve alcohol there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you're in the Tucson area, check it out. Or if you're not,
Tucson, Arizona,
check it out. But anyway, that's it for us for tonight. Thank you for watching. Please remember to hit like, subscribe if you're not subscribed. Check out the Patreon and the Teespring and the Amazon wishlist if you are interested at all in supporting the channel directly that way. It really helps because YouTube basically pays nothing. So there you go. All right, I'm the Dapper Dinosaur.